Cool. Okay, so we've started. Let's give it a few seconds for people to join. The numbers are ramping up slowly. And then we can get started. Okay, cool. Given that we only have half an hour and there's a lot of good stuff we want to talk about, let's just get started. For those who don't know me, this is my first session for the State of Sport Marketing. So far, it's been Janina doing it. I'm Dave, the head of marketing at Intersport Marketing Services. I'm not going to go into too much detail of what we do. For those who are interested and don't know what we do, feel free to go on our website, ims.intersport.de. And yeah, without further ado, let's get things started and kick it off. We've got really great guests here. We've got Ben and Matt joining us from Therabody, and maybe you guys can just get started, introduce yourselves real quick, and then take it from there.
Perfect. Matt, I'll hand it to you to introduce yourself quickly.
Yeah, sure. Good afternoon, everyone. Matthew Bates, and I'm Director of Sports Marketing for EMEA, so overseeing all of Therabody's sports marketing efforts across the region.
Thanks, Matt. Hey, guys. My name's Ben McNamara. I'm the Senior Director of Global Education at Therabody, working very much alongside Matt on the marketing side and really facilitating the delivery of education across all of the different environments that we now find ourselves in. So thank you for joining today, guys. Thank you for taking some time, and we're looking forward to sharing more information with you.
Awesome, cool. And you're both based in London, right? Great.
Correct. Yeah.
For those who are watching us, if you've got any questions, feel free to drop us a message in the chat function. If we don't get the chance to answer them, I'm sure Matt and Ben will be able to take the time afterwards, and then we can send it across to all the attendees via email. But let's just get started. And I mean, I think Therabody and Theragun is definitely, you know, one of the big brands in the recovery space. But maybe you can just give us another short update, you know, for those who don't know about Therabody. What do you guys do? Where do you come from? And, you know, what's the sort of history behind it?
Yeah, sure, Dave. I think to begin with, our story is really important. In 2007, 14 years ago, our founder, Dr. Jason Wersland, was in a traumatic motorcycle accident, and that left him with debilitating muscle and nerve pain. And as he began to look for a solution to help him overcome that pain that he was experiencing, I think he quickly realized that the only options that were kind of readily available to him were along the lines of prescription medication or surgery. He was looking for something that was different to this. He was looking for something that would naturally help accelerate the body's natural healing processes. And I think as a chiropractor, he was able to look at this differently. He really had the ability to understand the history and the researched kind of benefits of applying pressure and vibration to soft tissues that are in discomfort, right? And previously, Dr. Jason had worked in construction and home remodeling specifically. And he'd worked in these environments for many years prior to becoming a chiropractor. So he's always been a really resourceful guy, very, very useful with his hands. And the first Theragun was actually created purely out of his own necessity to help him overcome his own levels of pain. After he felt better, he actually put it away and never thought about using that particular device ever again. And I think just to step back a little bit, when the body's experiencing, you know, acute levels of pain, there's often a range of different feelings that the body can experience. And Dr. Jason was living through intense feelings of fear, doubt, worry, the state of hopelessness, wondering if he'd ever be able to, you know, get back to doing those things that he loved. One of them being treating people and healing people and utilizing his hands. And he often says that necessity is the mother of invention. Matt and I have heard him repeat that many times. And he pioneered Theragun out of his own necessity and really paved the way for the Theragun to really become the first device to provide both pressure and vibration simultaneously. So I think that's useful for people on the call to understand initially. This is percussive therapy, and Theragun delivers percussive therapy to the body. And also for people to understand that it wasn't actually until 12 months after his accident that he began to realize the true need for people to have access to something like this. Dr. Jason actually used this on one particular patient, and this particular patient is a very emotional story. He actually had a similar injury to what Dr. Jason had. And as he began to use percussive therapy on the patient, the results were just as profound. And he began to see that this could really serve as a way for people to manage pain that they're experiencing in between appointments. And I think this became, Dave, a really pivotal moment for Dr. Jason. It was definitely a key sort of milestone on the journey. And I have to say, that from my perspective, and I'm sure I speak on behalf of Matt as well, we continue to wake up every day with this type of person in mind. And from 2008 to 2015, he began to improve on that original design. We launched Theragun as a company in 2016. And I think the main reason that Dr. Jason did that, and also our CEO, Ben Nazarian, they did this because they were starting to see the effects on everyday people. And they saw that it could have a benefit on people outside of the treatment room. And this idea of using Theragun wherever and whenever you need it, it really started to come to light. From 2016 to 2020, we've had 4 different versions of percussive therapy. And it's really just been incredible to witness just how versatile percussive therapy really is. When we began, I don't think any of us thought that we'd be creating a whole category that would then become a mass consumer product. And I think when Dr. Jason first met our CEO, Ben Nazarian, he'd already been working on Theragun for 8 years, which is important. So he'd really validated it, working with professional athletes, working with his own patients in his own clinic. But Dr. Jason doesn't have a commercial bone in his body. And he didn't know how to bring it to market. And what's really cool and something that I'm really proud of is that Dr. Jason didn't pitch this to Ben. He just put it on him. And Ben loved what he felt. And after that, they literally sat for hours and developed a business plan. And that ended up becoming the blueprint for the first 5 years of our company.
Wow, incredible. It's just great to hear that, the story of it, there was a necessity for it. You had to come up with something, and there was no commercial aspect behind this, right? Especially when it comes to health, physical health, mental health, that something was created to just, get people to feel better and be better. And only afterwards, the commercial aspect came in is something that maybe you don't get to hear that much anymore. So how have the last few years been then? It's been okay. Now the sort of blueprint has been set up, and how has the journey been since then?
Yeah. Well, we changed our name to Therabody in 2020. I think Dr. Jason has always said to me, this is bigger than we think it can be. There's something more to this. And I think if you ask Ben from the very beginning, we definitely wanted to offer a wider range of products and services to really help people on that wellness journey, whatever that might mean to them as an individual. And the name of our company, which only referred to our first product, didn't really reflect that broader mission. So I think we knew we had this greater purpose, and that our kind of product roadmap would ultimately address the entire body. And as soon as we saw just how much Theragun was changing people's lives, I think our team really realized that the original name, Thera, right? That's meaning and implying to heal. And then, of course, sort of the word body, Therabody, makes a lot of sense. And what's really cool about our brand is there's so many great authentic stories, which really bring us into the present moment. And when our team were planning to launch our CBD line, Thera One, last year, the US team were having a whiteboarding session, and someone said, so, what if we have something related to the body in our name, right? Because ultimately we're really concerned with that. We're concerned with the entire body. We want to assist the entire body. We're here for everyone, right? And somebody said, what about Therabody? And fortunately, I think the URLs and all of the social handles were still available. And so we rebranded to Therabody to represent that broader mission. And Dave, something that I think is really important for people to understand is that the Theragun doesn't mind who it makes contact with. This is a really important message. It doesn't judge you. It aligns to you, and you can personalize it according to your needs. And I think as Dr. Jason began to travel throughout various different regions, sharing his story, sharing the amazing feeling with people, I think he began to realize that this really is a product for everybody. It doesn't discriminate based on gender, age, race, body type, level of activity. It's not just for highly active people. And Matt can speak to this as well, but you don't need to be an athlete to adopt a mindset that embraces recovery. We're all experiencing stress and strain and tension. We were talking offline about the fact that we both haven't seen our families for quite some time now during the pandemic. And Theragun's really a great solution to alleviate some of those levels of discomfort that we all experience. So I think we really began with a single sort of category defining device, but then since then we've expanded to really include a more holistic wellness offering in terms of the products and services that we now have, in addition to percussive therapy.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, so maybe let's dive into that a bit deeper when it comes to the offering, and especially also because you just mentioned it's not just for professional athletes. Maybe you can talk about what sort of business areas are there, and also who's basically the audience, who is it for, and who buys, or who's the customer of Therabody?
Yeah, no, I think so. It's for everybody, and we all have different things that we're experiencing. Your schedule is different to mine. Some of us might be traveling, some of us might be more active, some of us might be largely inactive for periods of the day. So we had to really realize that and align to that. But in terms of sort of the other business areas that have been added, I think there's probably 4 different areas, Dave, that I think important to touch on outside of the devices. So you have sort of wellness. There's now very much a wellness conversation that is happening, and we're a big part of that. Therabody University has certainly been added. Our app. So how do we scale Dr. Jason's knowledge in the digital domain? So the application is a big part of that. And then also Therabody Reset. So I think to begin with wellness, just appreciating that it isn't one size fits all. That's not what wellness is. There's various different dimensions within wellness, and what works for you might not work for Matt, right?
Yeah.
And that's why we really made it our overarching mission to start to meet those unique individual needs and preferences of the people that we serve. So launching Theragun in 2016 was revolutionary. It created a category that didn't exist. But now I have to say that every device, if it's our recovery air, if it's Power Dot and electrical muscle stimulation, or some of the services that we have within Reset, they can actually stand alone as their own sort of really powerful form of recovery. But then what's exciting, Dave, is that they can also work in harmony with some of the other products. So they can collaborate and they can work together with other members of the ecosystem. Matt's doing a terrific job with some of our sports teams, which we'll touch on. And these athletes are starting to use our wave series with our percussive therapy experience. So they're combining a rolling experience with a targeted percussive therapy experience. So it's just giving people more well-rounded routines. With Therabody University is our company's educational division. So we've got a range of different courses, and these courses are really trying to connect with our partners, first of all, practitioners, so physiotherapists, osteopaths, chiropractors, anyone operating in performance environments, personal trainers, CrossFit coaches, etc.
Yeah.
Our teams, our ambassadors, and then also, our store associates, people that are, connecting with our customer and explaining the key benefits and features of these technologies. So what's also really important is we have so many great people around the world which are really devoted to Dr. Jason's intention, and they have, a lot of understanding around our backstory, and they've also seen how this has developed over the years. So they become, our conduits in major cities around the world that can really speak to the brand and speak to the education. And then the app is really connecting the device and creating a more personalized experience. And essentially it's unlocking a range of different routines. And again, you can scale that and personalize that according to your needs. So for example, you can change the speed of the device, the frequency. If you have more sensitive tissues on one particular day, you can really personalize that.
So it's like fully customizable.
Yeah. We like to describe it as having Dr. Jason in your pocket.
Great.
So we've worked really hard to align the same way that he would show you, Dave, how to use Theragun if he was with you right now. We need to articulate that across the digital experience in the app. And then I think sort of finally, to answer your question, Reset. I think Reset is just Dr. Jason's vision for a real immersive body and soul wellness center. And we've brought that to life with Reset. And the concept goes beyond retail. It's a very bespoke, immersive experience. And it's geared towards providing a service irrespective of what somebody's wellness journey might be. It's very, very unique and very, very individualized.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you for that. Incredible journey, actually. And maybe we're also going to sort of transition a bit more into the sort of marketing topics. But before we do that, it sort of combines all different aspects. You also mentioned that basically Therabody created a new industry or new product segment when the Theragun got launched. How did the space or the recovery space in general change for the last few years, and what impact did COVID have, both from a sort of user experience aspect, but also from a marketing perspective actually as well? How have the last 12, 15 months been?
Yeah, I can certainly speak to it from a user experience and my observations, supporting people from an education perspective. And perhaps Matt, want to jump in here and talk to it through a marketing lens. I think during COVID, the understanding and sort of the focus on recovery for the mind and the body still needs some attention, needs some education. Our customers need additional knowledge. The body accumulates waste products in its tissues when it's active as well as when it's inactive, right? So right now we're experiencing that. And I think people, we can do a great job of giving people knowledge that the recovery journey actually starts before, not after. And so I think we still need to spend some time educating people here. I think we need to teach people how to care for their bodies. It sounds so simple. you know, in the same way you wash and rinse the dishes or your car, people need to have that mentality for their bodies, right? I think relating this to the sports world, and Matt, definitely chime in here, but I think that each team should actually devote as much time and money to prevention and to recovery as they're doing with performance, right? It'd be great to see facilities where athletes can get those high quality, kind of effective body and mind opportunities and solutions. And I think another observation is that you know, populations really do want to know what athletes are doing to increase their longevity. And some of the industry leading technology that helps maybe the elite athlete to train better and play harder and recover faster, sometimes that might not be sort of available to the average kind of individual that's still having a desire to compete and play sports. So I think my observation here is, like, regardless of somebody's level of sort of physical fitness or their athletic ability, everybody should have access to a wellness solution. So I don't know if you want to add anything there, Matt.
No, I think just in terms of, obviously, to your point, Ben, with regards to the elite teams, you know, actually as the end consumer, and I think we'll come on to it, but, you know, we're giving the end consumer has the same opportunity to use the same product as a Ronaldo, as a team at Man City, as a, you know, Lukaku or any of those top athletes, a Max Verstappen. And I think, you know, certainly through our marketing, you mentioned about the pandemic, you know, how's that impacted us? I think, you know, clearly the pandemic has, you know, put wellness front and center of people's minds. And I think, you know, people's fitness goals and routines have changed. And I think, you know, Ben mentioned it earlier, but a lot of, you know, people's mental health was challenged, and self-care and recovery has become a real priority for people, especially as they've had, you know, reduced access to physical therapists, chiropractors, etc. So I think our CEO Ben Nazarian, you know, he talks about, actually we would have grown and probably been even, you know, bigger if the pandemic hadn't happened. But I think certainly, you know, over the past year and a half, I think you'll have seen, you know, the health and well-being section. People's just are a lot more attuned, I think, to health and well-being, to health and well-being products. But I think to sort of sum it up as well, I think to Ben's point, you know, it's a product you've got to touch and look and feel. And I think as the world opens up, I think we're really excited, certainly with 2022, that actually people can, you know, we'll be able to see more people and get the product on more people. And I think that will only sort of help with our growth.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for that. A couple of really interesting points here. Ben, you mentioned longevity, and Matt, you also mentioned just now, you know, you can have the sort of same treatment or similar treatment than, you know, the Lukakus have and the Ronaldos, and, you know, especially now with Ronaldo, for instance, moving back to United, and how old is he now? 36, I think, or
yeah,
coming close to 37. Like, how does he still have that, you know, that drive and the fitness to actually still play on that level in the Premier League? And do you think that has an impact on an educational level? You know, working with a brand ambassador such as Ronaldo, such as Man City, does that have an impact? Does it boost the educational aspect of, I should be looking, me as an amateur athlete or hobby sport enthusiast, I should be looking and taking care of my body just as much, and, you know, use similar products? Has that given a boost on that level?
Yeah, should I take that, Ben? Should I?
Yeah,
I think we're all very much at something we say, you know, we're all very much on our own health and well-being journey. And, you know, as Ben mentioned, you know, my needs, requirements are different to yours, different to Ben's, different to my mum's, different to my dad's. You know, we're all on our different journey. I think in terms of a Ronaldo and those elite sports people, clearly, obviously, they're aspirational, and I think our partnership with those, you know, incredible athletes and incredible teams gives us that immediate, I guess, credibility. The product gives, you know, the best of the best are using our product.
Yeah.
But equally, I think, you know, we use it, to Ben's point, you know, we use it everyone uses it in their own way, and actually Ronaldo will use it completely differently to how a Kevin De Bruyne or how the Man City team use it, a Lionel Messi at potentially at PSG. I think one of the things we've really found interesting, and one of the things we lead with, is education with the teams, and that's something that Ben and I work incredibly closely on, is making sure that we're educating all of the teams and all of our athletes with how to utilize the product and how to use our ecosystem of wellness products in their daily routines, in their warm-ups. Ben has even devised protocols so that a player, as soon as he gets off the bus at a match, there's he knows exactly how to utilize our products to benefit performance, right to the end, to when he gets back on the bus to return home. So I think in terms of we've all got our own, as I say, we've all got our own health and wellness journeys, and we're Ronaldo, etc. Their whole focus is obviously on football, and they have the time, etc. But if we can utilize some of the insights and give fans some of the insights, and the end consumer some of the insights of how a Ronaldo, how a Trent Alexander uses the products, then I think that's how we can connect the end consumer to those elite sports people.
Cool. Okay. You also mentioned that it's a tangible product. Obviously, you need to test it first. You try it out. And that also ties in with the question that we've had. How important is, for instance, retail and actually experiencing the product for the end consumer? And also, what are sort of main marketing channels and sales channels for you guys when it comes to the end consumer?
Yeah, I'll talk to that from a sort of more of a community level, Matt, and you can come in with a commercial lens. So I think, Dave, you were asking me as well, sort of what we're looking forward to in 2022. So I think we're constantly listening and talking to our customers to try to understand what they require in order to feel well and to feel good. And that's actually also something that I'm really proud of with the partnerships that we have, because all of them were relationships, some of them as far back as our G2 Pro device, before they became formal partnerships. And so a lot of the partners that we have actually been on the journey with us. So I think, coming back to your question, we love doing events. Recently, I was at the London Marathon, and it was just so great to be back into the community. These events really allow us to connect with the customer and actually listen to what they're going through. And it's such an exciting time because people are now beginning to realize that they can combine the products together. And there is a true collaboration with, like I mentioned earlier, rolling and percussive therapy, or maybe air through pneumatic compression. So I guess I'm just really looking forward to educating people on how to pair the devices and the modalities, and just, ultimately giving them that guidance to take control themselves of their own wellness. I don't know, Matt, if you want to talk to that a little bit more commercially.
Yeah, I think to Ben's point, I think one of the key sort of channels for us and when we utilize, particularly, if I look at it certainly from a lens of our marketing assets and our relationships with a number of our sports teams, I think we talk about an authentic use of a product, and as Ben has mentioned, our relationships actually go way even before we sort of signed marketing agreements with a number of these organizations, because we want that authentic use. They have to believe and have to want to use and understand our product, and it is genuinely a partnership. I don't say that lightly. So one of the key sort of aspects for us, certainly in 2022, is to continue that storytelling of how they use our products and how it's integrated into their ecosystem, into the team's ecosystem, and start to continue to educate. We always start with educating when we go into clubs, educating the elite teams. As I mentioned, Ben and I do that, and athletes. And then ultimately, once that education will then start to come through our content and through a number of our marketing assets. And that will be across by the team's channels and by our partner channels. But then we'll also feed into, again, what we do within the retail space and on our own e-com platforms as well. I think that the consistent thread, I can't say it enough, is all around education. Educating, wherever we are, whether that's, a Ronaldo, and we continue to work with a Ronaldo and a Trent Alexander-Arnold and a Manchester City and a PSG. We're continually evolving that education and working with them on a weekly basis. And then also educating the end consumer as well, through those various marketing channels, and doing it in a storytelling way that's of interest and is also relatable. I think importantly relatable to that end consumer.
Okay, thank you so much. So just to summarize, education is absolutely key. Storytelling is key. Therabody's got an incredible story that dates back 14 years, and utilizing and working with partners, teams, brand ambassadors such as Cristiano Ronaldo, for instance, to educate again, and B, obviously drive sales through the e-commerce platform. Amazing. Time's up already. This has gone really, really quick. It's been plenty of more questions I had. Very, very interesting stuff. Thank you so much, both of you, for taking the time. If there's any more questions that come through, feel free to email us, and I'm happy to pass on to Ben and Matt as well. For anyone who's missed this, we're going to upload it, as always, to our website and to YouTube, and everyone's going to receive the recording of this. So yeah, thanks both of you, and all the best for the future. Looking forward to seeing what will come next with Therabody, and everyone, enjoy your afternoon.
Thanks, Dave. This has
Thanks
been great.
very much. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining as well. Bye-bye.
Thank you.